Muhammad and Joseph Smith both believed apparently that God had hands and feet. Like really? Like we're turning God into some sort of like cosmic action figure. And if you think that's weird, you haven't seen anything yet. This is just one of the 15 disturbing parallels between Islam and Mormonism that I think disprove both religions. If you want more, you got to check out our full video, which is linked in the description, because trust me, it gets way wilder. In Islam, even though scholars will like literally bend over backward to insist that God's attributes are unlike anything that we know, the Quran still describes God with terms like hands, eyes, shins, and feet. For example, Surah 38:75 mentions God's hands when he created Adam, and Surah 48:10 talks about God placing his hand over the hands of believers. It's no surprise that the earliest Islamic scholars take these descriptions literally, claiming that God does indeed have these body parts, though of course they're supposedly uncreated and unlike human equivalents. But let's be honest, when you're saying hands and feet, they're still hands and feet in some sense, right? It's hard to get away from that. So we're left with a God who, despite being praised for his transcendence and perfectness, ends up sounding a lot like a creature, like a weird alien creature with body parts. Now, Mormonism, no surprise here, takes this to a whole new level. According to Doctrine and Covenants, God the Father doesn't just have a metaphorical body, he has an actual, literal body of flesh and bones. In Mormon theology, God is fully embodied, interacting with the physical world like any one of us. And it doesn't just stop there. Joseph Smith taught that God was once a man who worked his way up to godhood, and humans can do the same. So in Mormonism, God is literally human in form with a tangible body. And I mean, who doesn't want to think of God as like a superhero human version of ourselves that we can like eventually get to? But at what cost? God is just now another created being in the universe with flesh and bones like the rest of us. But where did everything come from in the first place? Why is there anything here? There's no explanation. But suddenly, the infinite transcendent creator is reduced to a physical being climbing the ladder of divinity. What's striking here is how both Islam and Mormonism make God much more relatable by turning him into someone who could almost you could run into at the supermarket. Whether it's uncreated body parts in Islam or the actual human body in Mormonism, both religions shift away from the idea of a spiritual, incorporeal God and give us a God that's way more like us. It's almost as if these religions are fashioning God in our image instead of the other way around. Now, contrast this with Christianity. In Orthodox Christian belief, God is spirit, John 4:24, and he's utterly transcendent. He exists beyond corporeal limitations. While God did take on a human body in the person of Jesus Christ, that was a one-time unique act of incarnation, done not to show God's eternal nature, but to redeem humanity. God became man contingently, not because he's always had a body, like essentially, but because it was part of his divine plan to save us. His divine essence remains entirely incorporeal, untouched by physical limitations. Unlike the versions of God in Islam and Mormonism, Christianity's God isn't a superhuman. He's the eternal, infinite creator, utterly beyond all creaturely comparisons. Okay, so if you thought that was wild, we're only scratching the surface. In the full video, we dive into 15 eerie parallels between Islam and Mormonism, everything from demonic manipulation to polygamy and even divine loopholes for marrying close relatives. The full video is linked in the description, or you can just click on it right here. Trust me, you're gonna wanna watch every single second.